I think is the legitimate tensions where people are like, yo, I want Kamala Harris to be president. And other people are like, she's a warmonger. Then there are the videos that have emerged on social media, which I'm not convinced are all real people. I think some of that is, sort of agent provocateurs. I think some of it is people very, very carefully trying to divide these communities.
I agree.
But at the end of the day, for the last 10 years, I have seen and been part of a kind of renewal of energy and solidarity between Black and brown people in the Middle East and the United States. I've been excited by what's happened when I go to places and hear Free Palestine, who were never saying it before, and hearing people, although not as much as I'd like to hear, saying, Black, the movement for Black lives are free, or Black Lives Matter, back when that was the thing to say. There was a growing solidarity and transnational connection. And I'm worried that this election, between two corporate candidates who are both imperial leaders, is going to divide us again.
Yeah.
What do you make of these tensions? Are you seeing these tensions? Am I overstating it? Is my fear unfounded? Please tell me.
Right. No, it's not. And I have noticed them, and I've actually noticed, like, I agree with you that it's almost where these pro-Palestinian groups are being pitted against Black communities. And now all of a sudden we're taking our real frustrations and our real human rights abuses to a point where the communities are being placated against one another. And I think that is really harmful and obviously very disheartening, and definitely not what I think anyone wants and what we really should be focusing on. But I do think it's valid. I think it's valid that there are people that at the end of the day will vote for Kamala for which reason, right? Whether it be like her identity and them seeing themselves represented in her, or in the issues and where they stand on domestic issues versus Gaza or anywhere else globally. But there are also a ton of people that cannot do that, right? Like, and I also recognize and want to create space for that conversation, which is why I did go public and about my own stance and where I'm going to be voting, or how I'm going to be voting this November. It was because of the response of all of a sudden feeling like there was a shift when Biden backed out and Kamala stepped up as the candidate, that all of a sudden, like, this was going to be our solution, that we were going to find, all of a sudden peace and security in this decision. And I think for a lot of people, when these types of shifts happen as a community and as different communities of color and people who are impacted by these issues deeper than others who have the privilege to not be, you do find ways to start thinking, well, why are they saying that way? Well, they need to follow our lead on this, and they need to follow our lead. And so you're not exaggerating. You're seeing it. It's valid. And I do want to just say that I think we can create space for both of those points, and the pressure and the pain points in both communities right now, and really in all communities, and realize that we weren't navigating a genocide last election cycle. We weren't in the middle of this where we are funding and being complicit as the United States in it. And so I do just want to create space for that. I don't know how it's going to end up playing out, but I've encouraged people to not participate and contribute to that dynamic, to not be part of those stereotypes, because I do agree with you that I do think there are some of these videos and interactions that are definitely provoked by agents. And so thinking also through, how do we continue to keep the center focus on human rights for all, on freedom and liberation for all people? And that includes people here in the United States, obviously, and abroad.